gonna make her pay.
Girls are made deranged by what's called hormones.
WHO.
What is going on?
Don't worry about it. Dance break.
I'm a little warm boy's gotta Pinterest me.
Why is it so tight?
I mean, you've had it since the 6th grade. You're probably maturing.
That was a clip from Mean Girls, a reimagined version of the original movie, but with a Broadway spin. And joining me now to discuss this film and more is film critic Richard Crouse. Welcome, Richard. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Renee.
Now let's start with Mean Girls, a comedy musical, a little different from the original, which was an iconic movie in its time. Does this one measure up?
It sure does. The addition of songs, I think, enhances the original story. So the story hasn't changed that much. You have Katie, who is an exchange student from Kenya, where she was homeschooled by her zoologist mother. She arrives at a suburban high school and has absolutely no idea about how teenagers work, how American schools work, the hierarchy, but she gets accepted into the Mean Girls clique. And all of a sudden, she is one of the most popular girls in school until she makes the fatal mistake of developing a crush for the head Mean Girls ex-boyfriend, and then it turns into a story of revenge and ultimately self-respect and lots of other things. But the songs, I think, enhance this story. Instead of the narration, which the first movie used, these are the way, or these songs, are the inner thoughts of the characters, and it works really well. There's a real theater kids vibe to it. It's enthusiastic. It's a lot of fun. The audience that I saw it with had a blast. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and it's in theaters right now.
Okay. Next, we have an action thriller, The Beekeeper. What is this about? It's about bees.
Well, sort of kind of about bees. Jason Statham stars as a guy who used to be part of a super secret organization called the Beekeepers. They're the most deadly assassins on Earth. He stepped away from that life, but when someone close to him gets taken advantage of and ultimately winds up dead, he looks for revenge. And that's all this movie is. There is nothing more to it than that. It is a grade A, B movie that just allows Jason Statham to do the thing that he does best, which is speak with his fists. And in this case, his fists speak multitudes. It's a lot of fun. It's silly. Don't go there thinking that it's going to make a whole lot of sense. This is just Jason Statham in a back-to-basics action movie, and I think a lot of fans have been waiting for this. So I gave The Beekeeper, now playing in theaters, 3.5 Jason Statham stars. You have to kind of rate those movies on a different scale.
All right. Now, the next one we have is called The Book of Clarence. It's being described as a comedy drama that is also biblical.
Yeah, it's a biblical epic set in 33 AD. And it is the story of Clarence, played by the great Lakeith Stanfield. And he is the village drug dealer. He's a ne'er-do-well who owes a lot of money to a local gang leader named Jebediah the Terrible. So he decides, after having seen the success that Jesus Christ is having as a Messiah, that he's going to do that as well. Now, of course, it's a great big con for Clarence just to make money to pay off his debts, but he soon learns a few very interesting lessons, particularly when Pontius Pilate, played by James McAvoy, shows up with a mission from Rome to eradicate all the messiahs. So this is a biblical epic that kind of breathes the same air, I suppose, as Ben-Hur and The Greatest Story Ever Told. It's also a little bit of the life of Brian from Monty Python thrown in here. But by the end of the movie, this is a film that steps away from its satire to become a movie that is one that has a close look at faith and what faith means to each and every individual that practices it. So I gave The Book of Clarence, now playing in theaters, 3.5 out of 5 stars.
All right, and finally we have Freuds Last Session, a new drama starring Anthony Hopkins and Matthew Good. What's this one all about?
This one is about an imaginary meeting between Sigmund Freud, father of psychoanalysis, and C.S. Lewis, author of the Narnia novels. Freud was an atheist, C.S. Lewis was a man of faith, and they talk about that. They argue about it as Sigmund Freud deals with oral cancer that will eventually kill him. And this is all about the performances when it is the two actors playing these two titans of the 20th century. The movie really works well, a little less so when it steps away from that. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, and it's in theaters right now.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us today, Richard Crouse, film critic. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.